Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Moxi Website's 3.0 in-depth Moxi website training. I hope you've already attended our 1.0 and 2.0 sessions, but if not, you can always go back and watch the recording to get caught up before you dive into the 3.0 session. Today, we are going to be covering making custom site pages from templates, specifically community pages and a custom homepage. We're going to dive into meta descriptions on your site pages, setting up Google Analytics, and then diving into Yoast Seo. As you can imagine, these Moxi websites are fully customizable with WordPress, so there are essentially unlimited opportunities for you to customize your website, but these are a couple areas that we think would be really valuable for you to work on. So as we start, we're going to start on My CB Desk. We are going to click on the MoxiWorks tile. Once we click on that, we are going to land on our roster page. From here, you'll notice you have all of the navigation options for the different Moxi suite. We are going to click on My Website. And this should take us to the homepage of our website, which would be here. So we are on the Agent Website Admin tool. In all my trainings, I remind everyone that when we see that vertical black bar on the left side of the screen, that means we are in admin editing mode. After we make changes to our site, we can always easily go to Visit Site in the top left corner, and that will take us to the consumer-facing view of our website. So it's very easy to toggle utilizing this top left corner to see any changes that you've made. So to start, we're going to talk about community pages. Now, community pages are really valuable because one, the more content on your site, the better. That helps Google prioritize your website above other websites when you have more content on it. And secondly, it's really helpful for out-of-town buyers or even within the state who are not familiar with certain parts of the city. And so if you had an InTouch website, you likely had a lot of great community pages set up. So we want to kind of take that to the next level and make our own community pages in Moxi. But we want to set ourselves up for success because we want to be able to input a custom search that pulls in properties automatically in that specific area before we build our community page. So that means you need to go ahead and think about what your first community page might be. So to set up that custom search, we're going to come to Custom Search on the left side and click. And this is going to pull up our custom search window. I'm going to say Add New Search. And in the title, I'm going to name it the title of my search. So I'm going to select Austin. And I'm going to say Austin Properties for Sale. Okay. And then here I leave this window open, but I go ahead and click on Visit Site because I need to visit the consumer-facing view of my website. When I land on the home page, I'm going to find the search bar and I'm going to type in Austin, Texas, because that's the first community page I want to make, and I want a search on there for properties for sale in Austin. Now here you can see that I have a number of different filters to select from for my custom search. I'm going to choose the filter and select any property type. And then I can change the square footage, year built, specific features, etc. I'd like this to be a broader search, so I'm going to leave it at that and hit apply. And then if you'd like, you can even do a minimum or maximum price point. So for this specific agent, I'm going to do $600,000 and I'm going to hit apply. So now you can see that has narrowed down my search to Austin properties listed over $600,000. Here, I simply click on the URL and it will all turn blue. And I'm going to copy this URL. You can either right click and hit copy or do Control-C. And I'm going to navigate back to my other tab. And where it says custom search path, I'm going to paste in that URL that I just copied. You can see it's very long, but this page tells me that my path must begin with the word search. See what's highlighted here? So what I need to do is find that search and that slash on the screen, and I want to click before that letter S. See my cursor is moving there. And I need to delete everything before the letter S. So it starts with search / because that's exactly what it tells me in this tip. And now I hit save. So what I've done is I've auto-created an MLS search that can pre-populate on my website when I build a community page. So that kind of sets us up for success here. Now let's actually build out that community page. To do that, we're going to go to Site Pages. And at the top of the screen, we're going to click Add New. And then from the drop-down, we are going to say Custom Page, and then hit Submit. And then here in the Add New Page, it wants us to make a title. So I'm going to title mine Austin because that's what we were discussing. And I'm going to hit Save Draft. After my draft has saved, we can actually start building out the page. I'm going to hover over this Builder tab and click on it. The Builder tab is what allows us to build the website page. Here, you're going to see this option on the top right corner. We are going to click Templates, and then it defaults to the group called Moxi Works Templates. So since we're making a community page, we are going to scroll down here, and you're going to see a number of different designs for different pages. However, there are 4 titled neighborhood - something. So we have neighborhood Beaumont, neighborhood Valor, neighborhood Porter, and neighborhood Manhattan. So I'm going to select neighborhood Beaumont for my example, but you can choose any of these 4 if you'd like for your neighborhood page. Once I click, it's going to apply the template I selected to my website. And now here, we're simply manipulating the existing formatting to fit our needs. So I want to hover over Capitol Hill and click in here. And where it says heading, I want to change that to say Austin. Now I can go through each of these tabs, like the Style tab. I can change the font color, size, spacing, etc. So I think that looks a little small to me on the screen. So I'm going to drag this bar over and make Austin a lot bigger. And I'm going to hit save. And I personally don't prefer text on top of this image. So when I hover over this, you see there is an X that says remove. So I'm going to remove that, say OK. And now it recenters the word Austin on the page. Now, this is obviously not a picture of Austin. So I want to hover over this blue bar and find this wrench icon where it says row settings. If I click on that, now it gives me all the editing options for that section. So when I scroll down, we have the background options. You can see you can pick from your media library, and I want to remove the sample photo they have, and then go to Select Photo, and then Upload Files and say Select Files. And now on my computer, I have a number of local photos that I've saved. So you really want to make sure that you have the copyright to whichever photos you upload. So you either need to have taken them yourself or have the rights to them or have purchased them, right? So you're going to go ahead and upload your photo of choice and hit open. And then after this loads, in the bottom right corner, you'll click the blue Select Photo button. And now it's going to apply that here. And you can see you can add a number of effects to it, backgrounds, advanced settings, etc., even animation. But I'm going to leave it as is and hit save. Now I have my great photo of Austin. I have the word Austin. And now you can see these are pre-suggested sections for you about the community. However, if you didn't want to have 3 columns across, maybe you X out of this last one and you say, okay. And now it's putting a space holder for you because it wants to keep these evenly arranged. So I'm going to remove this one, and it's going to redistribute these into 2 paragraphs. So what you would do is you would come through and you would click on one of them, and you would change the header and the title of each paragraph to fit your needs. So I would want to type this in and say something like Austin, Texas is the capital of Texas. And has a population just over 2 million people, whatever it may be, and then hit save. And you would continue typing more information. Here it provides you with some great photos, right? So maybe you want to scroll through and include different photos around town. You can certainly do that. If you don't want that, you would simply hit this remove button and it would remove just this section of the website. Here it defaults to having some demographics and the school information. We want to be really careful about including demographics because we don't want to be in violation of fair housing. So if I were you, I would likely remove this section, right? Maybe we can keep things like weather and some of these other things that are more neutral. And then for the schools, you may not want to list every single school if it's a very broad area you're servicing, like Austin. But maybe instead I say Austin has 5 independent school districts and a total of 30 public elementary schools, 15 public middle schools, and 5 public high schools, whatever it may be. So you can manipulate these exactly how you want them. And then again, this Discover Places section, this could link to photos. And then you could either click on the photo and open them in a new tab or just have people scroll through to learn more about the area. However, I want to come back up here and I want to insert that awesome custom search that I made right at the top of my page, because I think if someone's reading about Austin, they may want to preview some of the properties. So for me personally, I think I'm going to remove this and remove that placeholder. And my tip is to always include on your screen the exact location where you want to drop it. So I'm dropping it between this section up here and this demographic section down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to modules this time. And then from the drop-down group, I'm going to select widgets. And then here you can read through and see these awesome different widgets that we have available. One of which says Custom Searches module. On my screen, it's the third one down on the right side. I am going to click and drag, but not let go of my mouse until I know exactly where the module lands. So I click and then I drag it here. You can see because this light blue bar is full width, that means my module will drop in and be full width. If I move my cursor up, this is just partially across the page. So that means the properties would only populate across this portion of the website. So I'm going to go ahead and let go. And now it has this custom search module pop up. So I don't want to name this custom searches. I want to name this Austin properties for sale. And then from the drop down, if you made multiple custom searches, you would want to select the appropriate one for this. I always leave number of properties to display at 20. And then you can pick between 1 or 2 rows of properties, and then a set number of columns up to 4. So I'm going to do 2 rows and 3 columns. And I'm going to hit the save button. Now the properties won't show up on here, but once you publish them, you will see all of them. Now we can keep scrolling down. And this already has this featured property section. So I want to delete that because I chose to move my featured properties for Austin at the top of the screen. And then down here, you can see you may want to use this map feature. So if so, we want to find the wrench just around this beautiful map image and click on the wrench. And I'm going to type in a location. So I'm going to do Austin, Texas. You can also do a specific address if you wanted, and hit save. And now you can see my map is pulling in all of the Austin area. And now at the bottom, these are number counters. So as you scroll down, they're actually going to count upwards. So this can be a fun place to put some stats about the community if you would like. So again, if I knew the population was 2 million, for the number range, I would want to not put it as a percent and just put it as a standard number. And then I would want to put in the word 2 million. And then the text below the number is going to be whatever it is. So I could say population of Austin area and hit save. So now if you look on the bottom left, we saw that that great interactive number counter counted up for me and looks really nice on the page. Now maybe you don't have 6 stats you can find. Instead, you can remove the furthest one on the right, hit OK, remove that spacer, and now it's reformatted those to be evenly spaced 5 across instead of those 6. So you'll want to take some time and fill this whole page out, and then take a look using this plus sign and the modules section. The modules section is going to default to standard modules. Here we can add all sorts of different features like a video. Maybe you have a great video of Austin that you found on YouTube, or you took one yourself. Maybe you want to add a button that says contact me at the bottom. You would simply click and drag that button down there. And maybe you want to use testimonials. Here you could add in testimonials from clients that have bought or sold in that specific area. Now, these testimonials are going to be independent of any testimonials anywhere else on your website. So you have full control over which ones would show up on here. You can also look at advanced modules. So you can see these are additional options that are a little bit less common, but still have amazing features for you to take a look at. There are things like countdowns, calls to action, ribbons, etc. And then, of course, the widgets were the ones that we looked at for the custom searches. And so here you can do all sorts of maybe the contact me module you wanted to do at the very bottom of the page. And so now you could say buy or sell in Austin. Contact me today. Maybe we change this to say looking to buy or sell. And then you can select which information populates, right? So here are all of our options. We even have advanced features like margins and animations, and we can hit save. And this is loading, but now we see we have this nice contact form, which incentivizes someone to contact you. And that's what we want, right? We want very sticky websites where people hang around and look at all sorts of great contact information. So if everything looked good, we would come to the top right corner and we would hit the blue button, done, and then we would hit publish. As you can see, this is now the consumer-facing view because none of those blue lines are popping up. And when I hit the refresh page, I have my Austin properties for sale. I selected the 2 rows with the 3 columns, and they default to price, highest to lowest. I have all the demographics, which I would have changed if this were my final website. I've got this great map, my nice counters, and then this contact me form. If someone's on mobile, they would be able to call directly from their phone on your website. All right, so you can do unlimited pages for community pages. My pro tip is if you already have a community page on InTouch where you've written out a great description, you would want to navigate to that community page and copy and paste the verbiage up here so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel and rewrite something. So to get back, we're going to go to Admin Home. And now we're going to talk about a custom home page. So we're going to go through the same process where we click on Site Pages. And this time we're going to go to Add New. We still want it to be a custom page, and then hit submit. Now I'm going to title this home, and I'm going to hit save draft. After we've saved, we're going to navigate to this Builder tab and click so we can actually design our web page. This time we're going back to templates, and under MoxiWorks templates, we are going to scroll down, and you can see there are a number of different homepage layouts here. You want to look closely to the top section. As you can see, the very first one in the top left actually has a search bar. That tells us that these are designed to be real estate sites so that consumers can search first thing when they land on your site. So there are a bunch of really great design options for you here. This one called Hayden even has team members populating directly beneath the search bar. So that might be a great one if you have a team. So you're simply going to go through all of these and find one that looks most interesting to you. There's even ones called Homepage, Manhattan, Porter, Valor, Beaumont, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select Homepage Beaumont. And here we are going to auto-populate with some really great content. So you can see it has 2 paragraphs about buying and selling, some great counter stats. It auto-populates community pages. I like this template because here, if I had 4 different community pages I had made, I would link to each of these on my homepage. And then these are just content section suggestions, right? So you don't have to keep the same verbiage here. You can change it to whatever you'd like, and you can even swap out this picture. Okay, and so what I might do is change this to find your dream home in Central Texas. Save. And now I'm noticing it's kind of left aligned, so maybe I go back to style and I want to go to align and I want to say center. And maybe I think the size is a little small, so I'm going to drag this a little bit larger and I'm going to hit save. And then again, this picture is just a standard stock photo. So I would likely want to put a local photo here or maybe one of my listing photos in the background. To do that, I would go to this wrench icon. I would scroll down and find where the background photo is. And I could say remove, and then I could select a new photo. It's going to pull in my media library. To the left of that, it's kind of hidden. It says upload files. So I'm going to select files, and I'm going to drag a different picture in from my background. Now here's a perfect example. This photo is too large for the website. So what I would need to do is either shrink it down in size or select a new file. So in this instance, I'm going to select a different picture, and that one's still going to be too large. We're going to go through and we're going to find a cool photo. And then in the bottom right corner, after it's done loading, we will hit the blue select photo option. And I'm going to hit save. So this is going to give it kind of a cool black and white look. And then here we have the featured properties module. So maybe instead we want to delete this section. And just like we did on the properties, or excuse me, the communities page, we could go to the plus sign, go to modules, go to widgets, and I want to pull in a custom searches module. So I can drag that here. And now again, I put my title, right? Austin properties for sale. You could call it something else on this page if you wanted. You could even pull in your own listings, your recent sales if you wanted. And I'm going to hit save. And so just like before, you're going to just manipulate each of these sections how you want them or delete them. I would put in your own lifestyle photos here if you'd like, your home value option, etc. And then maybe again at the bottom, that's a really good place for a contact page. So maybe here I'm going to do the contact me module at the very bottom. And I want that to be full width. And then say, get started on your home search today, something like that, and then hit save. That's going to load here. We also have a number of cool modules called like neighborhood news. So I'm probably going to put that up here on my website, and I want it to be just partially across the page. So I would drop that here, and then I would hit save. So now someone has the option to sign up for neighborhood news using this module. And we have a number of different other cool modules that they can select as well. Okay, so you'll want to just go through all of these, have fun with it. I would definitely pull in testimonials again, because I think those are so important for your business, right? People want to see what experiences other people have had with you. You can embed a video about yourself. You could do a carousel of your recent sales. There's truly unlimited options for you on what you might want. They even have things like your business hours if you'd like. So when you're done, just like before, you will hit done in the top right corner, and then you will hit publish. So I'm just going to save this in draft mode because it's not fully complete. But the most important part of this is that we have this page published, but right now your website doesn't know that there's a new homepage, right? It's just using that default homepage template that we set up in our 1.0 session. So you would navigate to Appearance here and click on the word Appearance. And right now your homepage layout is likely search focused. So once you published your page and you called it home, you're going to see this drop down, and you would see the word home directly beneath the drop down somewhere, and you would select that. And now you would select that you have a custom home page, and then you would hit publish. So this is the most crucial step because you have to tell your website to override the existing homepage template and now use that new one you made called home. Okay, another tip for you back on site pages, you can see we have this new page called Austin. But right now it's all the way to the far left. And so we don't want it just hanging out there on our website, right? We want a little more purpose for those community pages. So say you had 4 new community pages, they were all listed down below here. My suggestion is to scroll back up to the top and say add new. And this time, instead of a custom page, I'm going to call it a menu item. A menu item is simply a menu name at the top of your web page in the navigation bar that will now have drop downs beneath it. I can hit submit. And now I want to name that menu item. So we don't want a very long word. Communities is already long enough, so keep it as short as possible. And I'm going to hit save. Now I'm going back to all pages. And if I scroll to the bottom, you see that I have this communities page. What I would want to do is hover to the left of Austin, so I get this crisscross, and I'm going to click and drag it so it's indented under communities. Now I will have a communities item called communities as a menu item and Austin as a dropdown. So in the bottom right corner, I'm going to hit publish. And then I'm going to click visit site in the top left corner. And now you see I have this great communities dropdown with Austin directly beneath it. Okay, so if I wanted to go back, say I wasn't ready, I could just hit hide under communities and it automatically hides Austin, and I'm going to hit publish so we save our work. So now when I come back to my consumer facing view and I hit refresh, we no longer have that communities dropdown. And that's good, right? Because in my instance, I had not finished editing mine. So I certainly didn't want to publish it when I only had one community and it wasn't fully edited. All right, so there are so many great options for custom pages and rearranging that navigation. So it really just takes some creativity and time to spend updating those community pages and putting them where you want them, and then getting that home page exactly how you want it designed. As you recall, in our 2.0 session, we learned how to extract some of those really cool widgets and modules that Call to a Banker had. So my tip for you is to be sure to add those, like the listing concierge and the real vitalized ones, even the move meter. Add those to some of these pages that you have, especially your home page, because that will really help enhance your site. All right, so that is enough on the custom pages. There's a ton more you can make, but that kind of covers those key ones. So now I want to talk about SEO and really optimizing your website. So the first thing we're going to talk about are meta descriptions. So if I click into, see this Austin page I made, I'm going to click edit on it, just like you can for any of these other pages. So you can see here, we're going to come into this Yoast SEO Premium box. And what this is this is how your search in that specific page of your site shows up on Google. So I'm going to open a new tab and show you an example. So I'm going to search things to do in Austin. And I want to show you all the search results that come up. So down here, these blue words, that is our title. And then this snippet of text below it is the meta description. So we want to make sure that this title and meta description matches the content that's actually on the website. Because when you're doing a search, you are looking at some of these things before you decide which web page you want to click on, right? Because they're all giving you fun things to do in Austin. So I can see this one has 53, this one has 45, this one has families, and that helps me decide what to click on. So back on our page, I want to click Edit Snippet, and down here, it's going to let me adjust that. So right now it says Austin-agent name. That is coming from this SEO title. So it's auto-populating the title of the page, a separator, which is the dash, and then the site title, which is the agent's name. So what I can do, if I click remove the site title, now we removed the agent name. If I remove the separator, that's gone. And then the title of the page. So I can actually start from scratch. And maybe I want to say Steve Didier's Guide to Living in Austin, Texas, right? That's a little bit more specific, and it includes your name, which is really nice for boosting your web presence. And then here under meta description, that's going to be these 1 or 2 sentences below here that we talk about, that talk about your website, right? So you could say view new listings in Austin and learn why Austin has ranked on the top places to live list year after year, right? So something along those lines, and that would give you a really brief summary of what this web page is about. Okay, now there are a ton more nuances to writing a meta description and optimizing it. That's pretty advanced. So for today's purposes, we just want you to fill this in, right? We want you to have something that actually makes sense so that when someone visits your site, Google knows exactly what kind of information they are going to be seeing. So when I'm done, I'm going to hit this blue update button, and it's going to save my changes. Now, let me remind you, anything in Yoast SEO Premium is not going to actually show up on your web page. It will only show up here if someone were to search it and Google were to populate this as one of the search responses to whatever someone typed in. This does not show up anywhere on the website for anyone else to see. All right, so next we can talk a little bit more about analytics. So if you've heard of Google Analytics, kudos to you. It is a third-party tool that is provided by Google and it's free. So all you need to do is simply search in Google Analytics, and it's going to prompt you to create a free account. So you can either sign in or create a free account. What it's going to do is after you create a free account, you are now going to have this awesome dashboard where you can see site visitors, where they came from, how long they're on your site, etc. So all of this really great information will populate once your site is set up. Once you've gotten this set up and you've told it which URL is your website, you can come to the admin button and you'll be able to pull up the tracking link, right? So we want tracking code. And I have a tracking ID here. It starts with UA. Back on my website, I would go to settings. And all these drop downs are going to show up. So I'm going to go to site analytics towards the very bottom. And Google Analytics Web Property ID is going to get pasted here. You can see the example says UA dash blah, 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 blah. So after you have your analytics account, you're going to copy this tracking ID and come back here and paste it. Once it's pasted in, Google is going to know that this is your website and it's going to start tracking all the data about your website visitors. So this can be really helpful in the future. For example, maybe you end up getting a lot of web traffic from Seattle, but you're located in Texas. And that's kind of unusual, right? So maybe you realize that, maybe there's a new company moving to Austin. And so a lot of people are relocating from Seattle to Texas, or they're trying to escape whatever their current weather is and have something new and move to where you are located. Whatever the reason may be, now that you have Google Analytics set up, you could actually choose to do something about it and further market yourself in Seattle. So maybe you would run a Facebook ad to people living in Seattle and say, hey, I am your Dallas relocation expert. If you're considering a move from Seattle to Dallas, give me a call, right? So now we've used that great data we have to inform a marketing or advertising decision to really optimize our business. Regardless of what you choose to do with it, it's always great to just have access to that site traffic and the information available. So those two are the meta descriptions and the Google Analytics. Now we're going to conclude with Yoast Seo. So here we're going to hover all the way to the bottom on the black bar and click on SEO. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. So this ties in to those meta descriptions, which is what we did earlier. And that just means that anytime someone types in a question into Google or any other search engine, we are increasing your chances of Google or the other search engine showing your website as a response. So here we're going to land on this general Yoast SEO section. We are going to open the configuration window. And now here we're going to have all of these great options for Yoast SEO. You're basically going to go through each of them. So if your site is live, we're going to click option A, and then we're going to hit next. And then you're going to talk about what type of site it is. So your options are blog, online shop, news channel, small offline business, corporation, portfolio, or something else. Okay, so we're going to do a small offline business. and hit next. And then does your site represent a person or an organization? So you're a person as a real estate agent. You're going to select your name from this dropdown and you're going to hit next. And then here you want to allow search engines to see posts and pages and templates in the search results. And then we're going to hit next. And then for the multiple authors, so if there are multiple people that are going to be publishing to your site, maybe you have a team and you wanted multiple people to be able to show up, you would say yes or no. So since this is an individual agent, I'm going to select no and I'm going to hit next. And now the title settings. So earlier we talked about the meta description and it was adding a little dash. So it said like Austin dash Steve DeDeer. So this is where you can select what shows up between results. So I might pick a vertical line instead of a dash, but that's just personal preference. And it's entirely up to you. And then I'm going to hit next. And now you have the option to sign up for the newsletter. So I'm not going to sign up for the newsletter. So I'm going to hit next. I just deleted the email. And then now these are some really great videos on how to truly optimize your website and increase the chances of you showing up in search. So I would come back to these and I would watch them later. But for now, I'm going to hit next. And now I'm done, right? So I'm pumped. I've got my Yoast SEO set up and I'm going to hit close. Again, nothing is going to be visible on the front end of anything that you just made for your website, but it's going to really help you on the back end for anyone that's trying to locate your site and visit you. All right, y'all. Well, we just went over a bunch of really great information, very in-depth information about the website. It truly just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of poking around, clicking and dragging to master these great new pages. But what I love to say is nothing looks templatized, right? You have full control over every single element of your website, and it's automatically set up with IDX with no additional fees for you. So this gives you the great opportunity to stand out amongst your competitors and provide really exceptional content for them. So I hope you'll take some time and at the very least set up a community page or two and then get that custom homepage set up exactly how you want it. And then let your local marketing team know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.